This is going to be one of the best approach that we can use to build the continent of Africa. And if you watch to the end of this video, you're probably going to get one or two insight. Now, you see, I find it quite debilitating that in the continent of Africa, every single human being you see, be it an adult, be it somebody who is still in his youthful age or the teenagers, everyone seems to be able to identify the problem. But nobody has been able to provide a solution to any of that. It doesn't matter if it is a man with a PhD or BSc or MSc. They all seems to speak about the same thing. And when you closely observe them, you could easily detect the fact that what they are saying is we are trapped. And it's somebody that is the reason why we are trapped. In other words, they are living in a victimhood mentality. I've spoken about this, but that's not the focus for this video. The focus for this video is to provide a step, which I believe that if we start to adopt and initiate within our different communities in the continent of Africa, we'll be able to grow in the right direction and exponentially. So my question is very simple. Who told us as African people that we cannot build this continent from community upward? Because everybody you ask what's the problem of Nigeria, they say it's Tinubu. You ask them what's the problem of Ghana, they say it's John Mahama. You say what's the problem of Namibia, they say Landi. They say what's the problem of Uganda, they say Museveni. What about Rwanda? They say Paul Kagame. So they have someone to point at. And if you look at across and every of these individuals, there are presidents of such nations. None of us believe that we are part and parcel of the problem in the society. And for that reason, if I believe that as I'm a Nigerian, that Tinubu, President Tinubu is the problem of Nigeria, I will believe that he has to come and free me from the problem I am in. In other words, I do not have my own inner power to create my own opportunities. For instance, did you realize that before the European colonial masters arrived to Africa, our forefathers were living fantastic, despite the fact they may not have the technologies that the Europeans brought to us, but they were not starving. They were able to live together, build their own communities. You know, I'm telling people that I'm from the Igbo extraction, and I know for sure my own people were practicing democracy before the European man brought it. Before the American man knew there's something called democracy, we already started. We've been practicing democracy for thousands of years. No, maybe it's not well organized as it's given today by the academians. But since the European men brought us democracy, a new version of it, we seem to have thrown our own away. The reason is because we throw away our culture. One of the culture that were prevailing mentality in the mind of the Igbo people, which is such you could find across the continent of Africa, is that they must live together as a one people. I recall growing up as a young man, when someone in the village does not have a house, it is the duty of the entire community or the entire villagers to come together to build him or her a house. Today, to feel successful in my village, you should be the one that have a house and the other person doesn't have a house. And you'll be glad that you see him, he doesn't have a house or he's not able to eat. The Igbo people of the ancient time cannot go to bed when the people around them are starved, when they have something that those people could live off of. What do you call civilization? Do you think civilization is the ability to ride private jets? To be civilized is to live a life that helps you live in harmony with one another and reduce the risk of death. Today, we are dying like fowls. What if we ask ourselves, how did our forefathers live? How were they able to live together that when the European man brought us education in 1842, there were people who were not brilliant enough to train their children. And when they brought about the University of Ibadan, there were some of our people from this Igbo side, and I know that could be probably the truth within other communities across the country. You see a young man who is well articulate, is able to pass whatever test that is required to get to University of Ibadan, but the parent does not have the resources to train that child. You find out that the whole community will come together and contribute money and send that child to school and train him. They're not going to tell him that after training you must train us. No, they do it because it is the natural state of their mind. But should I tell you something? Today, even if I make 1 billion over 1 billion, if that is what is required in a test to get to university, and my parents are not able to pay for me, if people living next to me are multi-billionaire, I'm going to still stuck. I'm not going to go to school. That's an adopted mentality. Back in the days, I could easily go to anybody's house and feed myself and come back and feel good. Today, you can't do that. The entire society, the entire community has been so divided. The entire village has been so divided that you can't even see brothers and sisters, villagers, sit together to discuss about ideas. So how do you build such society? Society is built from down up, not from up down. I say oftentimes that whatever is happening in the political sphere is a mirror of what is happening at home. Just think about it. How many young people do you see today in the university saying they were sent here by their villages? They were sent here by the people of their clan, by their communities. They are not. It is their parents that are struggling. Yet there are people in that community that could handle that particular payment or whatever you could call it. They will never do it because the mentality has been shattered. And I must tell you for sure, you see, why these things happen is because when the European came here, there seems to have activated within us another type of envy. The pastors that the Europeans left the Christianity with became no different from sorcerers, from witches and wizards. So they see visions for you. They use visions and prophecy to destroy the entire communities. The same thing quickly sprang amongst whatever you call them, the native doctors. They start seeing stupid visions for people and destroy the entire community. Now, you cannot talk confidently about a secret or whatever idea you have with your village brother or with even someone from your clan. In fact, you are consistently fighting him. That's the reason why we are like this. And that's why when you get to Aso Rock, the people from the north are fighting from people from the east. The people from the east are fighting people from the west. And from the southeast, everybody's fighting each other because those were the mentality they took from home. So the best way to grow Africa as a continent is to return back to how we have been living before the arrival of the European. We were community people. We were people that lived together. We were people that had where we can come together as villagers to discuss ideas, to make rules, constitution, policies. The government in Aso Rock does not deter any community in Nigeria for them to independently design their own destiny. Yet you may not have the tractors, you may not have the machines to do mechanized farming, but you could come up with initiative and say there are no water. We only have rain season once in a year. So how do we come up with the idea that will help us to cultivate like twice or thrice every single year? What does it take to say we are 1,000 people in this community? Let's come together. Every family should pay 5,000 naira, $10, $2 every single month for the next 5 years. We're going to use it to build pipe-borne water independently on our own without the help of the government. Do you think they can't do it? If they come together, they can do it. But you see, they are so divided that they don't see that capacity inside of them. They have been doing it. And this is a prevailing mentality in the mind of an average black person anywhere you find them in Africa. They feel good when they come back home, have Ferraris, everybody else is suffering. That was never the design or the culture of your people. That's an alien culture. And that's because probably they took away that socialism and gave you capitalism. It's alien to you. Now you are in the battle of who is stronger should eat another. You can never build Africa in that situation. The best possible way to build Africa is to return to oneness, to say this village person is my brother, this community person is my brother. So we are going to have a meetings where everybody should share his or her own opinion and view of what is happening within our community, independent of whatever the government in Aso Rock is discussing. If you go to the Yoruba land, it used to be so. If you go to Ishikiri, TV, Efik, wherever you go in those communities, you find that that has continued to be the prevailing mentality of their people. If you go to the Hausas, the same way. But why is it we can't do it today? You go to Zulu, you go to the News, you go to everywhere, to the Madinka. They all think in that manner. Sometimes when I'm on it online, I see some videos where I'm shown some guys from, I think, the Maasai tribe. They are somehow what we call primitive, but in reality, we are the ones who are primitive. They are not primitive people. So when I try to observe them, they are not clothed like me, but I could see joy in their life. They work together, they laugh together, they hunt together, they eat together, they cook together. They do everything together. And for that reason, it is very difficult for them not to survive. In spite of the fact that they don't have access to the modern equipment or what it takes to build a society, they live better than every one of us. The only place you can say maybe we are better than them is in modern medicine. Aside that, they are better than us. Happiness, joy, oneness, living together, they are far more superior than us. They are far more civilized than us. We are primitive people that lives as though we are civilized. If we are truly civilized, we should be able to live together in such a way that we can create ideas that will function and create newness in our society where every one of us can thrive. Every community has the capacity to train every child born in that community to the university level. But the prevailing mentality of me, not we never allow that. I bet you for sure, if the community people where I am born says today, every child born here must get to the university level, they are able to do it. But you see, the richest person amongst them will say, why should I bring $1,000? And the other person will bring $1. Doesn't make no sense. He should train his own son. That's what I call inclusive institution, where people can come together and do things. And if we African people do not articulate this concept as soon as possible, things are going to get worse and worse and worse. You know why? You don't change things from the up, you change it from the ground. When there's a problem in the building and the walls are cracking, you don't go to the roof, you go to the foundation. You look at our society right now and you look at the situation of the government, you see that there is errors. Go to the human family, go to the communities, go to the village, go to the clans, go to the tribes. Those are the places you find the real problem. And once it's solved there, nothing else to be solved in the political system. So the whole idea is very simple. Every community should devise a strategy to build their own government inside the government of their country. Where you say every single week, 2 times meeting or once meeting, where everybody comes to share their view on what needs to be done to develop agriculturally, technologically, academically, and otherwise. They can do this. You see that there is a lot of power wielded inside of us, but we have caged it with envy and greed because we want to be the only person successful in the society. If we think that every person in my society should succeed, you see the entire society will start to blossom like flower. It is because we have a contaminated brain that only me should be successful. The rest should struggle so that they will bow for me. Contaminated brain. So this is the mentality that we have come to head so tight for a very long time, and it's weighing us backward. No matter the situation in the country, my community can produce as much food as they want to live off of. If they can come together to work together. But they can't, because they have been divided by the native doctors, and the so-called prophets. I'm sorry to say that, but that's the truth. I'm a Christian, so don't look at me anyhow. That's the problem. I'm not saying anything is wrong with prophecy, but I'm saying the way there are some people who are not really called. They go about selling nonsense to people, and they tear down the entire society and community to pieces. And native doctors today are the ray. They are even pieces in the mentality of the young people. If you have 1,000 young people in my community and they can come together and say, let's go to a certain place and make sure that those places are cultivated in the right way. And then the community can build a system that allows them to generate water and light. What do you think will happen to that community? Don't you think there will be surplus food that they can throw it away? They can even export it to interstate or out of the country. The whole success we are looking for is with us. The problem is that we are too victimized, that we are waiting for external person or external body to come and free us. And that's the reason why we continue to suffer, and to suffer. You see, you can't build anything sustainable without coming together. Every great empire were built by great number of people. That's why go right now and you look at Chinese people, you find out that what's happening there is that they are working together. They are working together. The moment they learned this in the 1970s, everything changed. Because what they were doing before is do your own, let me do my own. Do your own, let me do my own. They realized, woo, we come together. When you do that, there is no government that can hold you back as a community. It's a simple concept that I've just arrived to. And I don't need degree or PhD in philosophy to articulate this, or PhD in political science to understand this. You just need wisdom. What engineers success in every society is wisdom, not necessarily academic credentials. That's why our forefathers were able to live together and make success out of the things they do without degrees. They had wisdom. They didn't know how to speak or write. They had wisdom. Today we have people who can speak and write, dumb and stupid, mentally derailed, no single wisdom in their brain. At the moment this is understood by African people, watch Africa spike up to another level. I just came to this realization. What do you do? Come back to the village. Mobilize young people, the little young people. Maybe if the old people do not agree with you guys, get the young people together. Come together. Initiate policies, rules, constitution, independent of your own country, and see how things will function within that particular community. You find out that the other community will be saying, what's happening here? These people are growing. What's happening? Use the example of the Jews in America. Use the example of the Japanese in America. Use the example of the Chinese in America. Use the example of the Indians in America. It will tell you that when a community can come together, there's nothing they cannot build. And the same problem is persisting within our black brothers in America. They can't really come together and hold themselves accountable to things they want to do. Rather, they will still blame an external problem. I'm not saying that the external problem is 100% out of it. What I'm saying is there is no external problem that can break you once your internal buildings are very strong. It is here. We on our own conditioned ourselves to be suffering, yet live in victimhood mentality and blame the government. The day we wake up and take back our power, there's nothing we cannot build. I articulated this and I said, let me share it with you guys. You can go ahead and look at whatever else you can add to it, but just go right now and mobilize young people. I said, this is a time for us to come together, do things together, farm together, and then see how the system will change. Educate yourselves together in what is needed. Build industrial systems. Have industrial education that teaches people how to do farming, how to do tailoring, fashion design, how to do weathering. You can teach it within the community and allow the community people to use it to develop that community. It's a problem. We won't do it. We are waiting for President Tinubu. Then you have to suffer forever because the system is already against you. And you must know sometimes that some of the political people don't really want you to understand how the world works. So they want you to continue to speak that the problem is this person, the problem is this person. Hence, you continue to suffer. There is nothing that threatens authority like freedom. Once you gain your freedom, authority is threatened because now you can live independent of yourself. That's why the Bible said that the gift of a man is inside his hand, not in the hand of the government, not in the hand of the president. He said in your hand. Now, if all the community people realizes this understanding and say, this is my own gift, you bring your own gift, we place it in a table and join it together and use it to build a society. Other community will learn from us. And you will know that even the president of that nation will come and invest and say, you guys are doing this, I'm going to invest here. Because it's just a natural principle of life. It is those that are developing that development should go to. It's not those that are complaining. Nobody's interested in complaining. You don't understand it? Get it today. Let all the countries in the continent of Africa begin to advance through this method. I'm tired of it is colonialism, it is neo-colonialism, it is racism, it is this, it is that, it is the government. I'm tired of complaining. What I want is, what is the solution? What is the way forward? Nobody has ever built any nation through complaint. It has always been done by providing solution. Let's try this. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, we discard it and move on to another level. It's one of the way we can build Africa. It is not only the way. So I decided to share this idea with you guys. And if you like the idea, I want you to go ahead right now, share this video with your family and friends. And don't forget that I remain Captain Africa. Ad Astra.